Welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new here. I'm Jen, and this is A Better Life with Jen. Today is installment number 3 in my Road to 50 bulking series. So if you've watched the first 2, which if you haven't, I will link them in the comments, I talked about how I am entering an intentional bulking phase, trying to add some lean muscle as I approach my 50th birthday, which is rapidly approaching. So let's go over how things have gone this past month. First of all, I want to talk about some struggles that I had. So if you've heard the term or the saying, comparison is the thief of joy, well, I definitely felt that this past month. You know, there's so much out there on social media and just media in general. It seems like everybody is trying to lose weight. It seems like everybody and their brother is on a GLP-1 medication like Ozempic or Zepbound, Wegovy, any of those. You know, you can't turn on the TV and not see a commercial for an online company offering to sell you this. You know, celebrities are advertising it. So it's just really out there, and it did start to mentally get to me this month. You know, I think part of it was the whole new year, new you. You see lots of ads for weight loss products and, you know, people going to gyms and, you know, that sort of stuff as the new year comes. And it just kind of got to me a little bit this month. So I'm really trying to come back, remind myself my goals. Not everybody has the same goal. My goals are different than people who are trying to lose weight. And I just need to really remind myself why I'm doing this. And I'm doing this to feel stronger, to feel like I can lift heavier stuff in the gym, and to help my longevity. We know that adding muscle mass is so important as you get older. So I just keep reminding myself, coming back to my why for this. But I just wanted to be, you know, transparent and honest. I will always be honest with you. It did get to me a little bit this month. The other thing that I have to remind myself is that I should not compare to people who are not like me. So I follow a lot of bodybuilders, fitness type influencers on social media. And I have to remind myself, especially with the bodybuilder people, most of them are like in their 20s and they don't have a full-time stressful job. They have the ability to go to the gym for hours every day. And a lot of them, honestly, are on steroids. And I have to remind myself that. That is not something I would ever contemplate. There are so many health risks with doing those sorts of, you know, illicit, illegal medications. But yet I compare myself to people who are doing those things. So I have to constantly remind myself and try to find real people to look at and follow their journeys rather than the people who are doing this with the help of substances that I would never, ever consider or ever recommend trying. So now that we've gone through sort of the mental struggles that I had this past month, let's actually look at some data and look at the statistics. Because, you know, oftentimes when I have these feelings, looking at the data really actually does help. So first of all, let's talk about what my weight did. Now, in the first episode of this, I showed you that my starting average weight was 110.7. Last month, it had gone up to 111.2, so about a half a pound. And then this month, my average is 111.9. So up about 3/4-ish of a pound since last month and about 1 1/4 pounds since the first episode. Now, that rate of weight gain may seem slow, but it's actually good. The slower you add on the weight, the less likely it is to be a bunch of excess fat. Yes, if I wanted to just, you know, gain a bunch of weight, I could easily do that, but that's going to come with more fat, and I really want to add more lean mass and more muscle. So I feel comfortable with this rate of weight gain. And once again, like I've said before, I always use an average weight, and the reason is that the weight fluctuates day to day a lot. I can be up a pound one day, down a pound the next day. It just fluctuates so much with things like how many carbohydrates you had the next day because that holds on to water, how much salt you had the following day because that's going to hold on to water. If you've had a bowel movement or not, all those things are going to affect it. So that's why I use sort of a rolling average of the weight. So I'm comfortable with that weight gain rate. I think I'm going to leave my calories where they are at this point. They're at 2,400. I had increased them between months 1 and 2, but I think I'm going to leave them there for now. If the weight sort of stalls out or plateaus, I will increase again. Like I said before, when I did my intentional bulk in 2018, my calories were well north of 3,000. So, this really isn't a ton of food for me. I have no problem with this amount of food. As far as measurements go, they've been very steady. So in the first month, my waist measurement was 24.5 inches. Last month, I had gone up to 25. This month, back to 24.5. Now, when you're measuring, and half an inch on a body that's a little bit kind of squishy and it's not a, flat, hard surface, that well could be within measurement error. So I'm really going to say there has not been much change in my waist measurement, nor in my glute measurement. Glute measurement was 35.25 and then 35.5 and now 35. Once again, well within measurement error. I would like to see the glute measurement go up a little bit, but I also know that in order to do that, I really need to focus on that in training, and that is my least favorite part of training. I really don't like training lower body. If I never squatted again in my life, I would be fine with that, but I know that that is important. Lower body training is important because those are the largest muscle groups, and if you want to add lean tissue and muscle, that is important to train. So overall, how do I feel about this month? Even though I had a few mental struggles, as I talked about, I still feel like things are going well. I definitely intend to continue this bulk. I'm not going to jump off the train just because I had a little bit of a mental setback this past month, I'll call it. So my plan going forward is to keep my calories the same for the next 2 weeks. If there is no change in my average weight gain, then I will increase my calories up to 2,500. The other thing that I contemplated this month is going back and getting a coach. Now, when I did this in 2018, I did my intentional bulk through the help of a nutrition performance coach. Now, I know what I need to do. I'm very well educated in sports nutrition. I know how to make my workouts. I know what to do. But the coaching really is more for that encouragement, someone to talk these things through, someone to remind you of your why and your goals when you're having those sort of mental setbacks. So I did consider that. But honestly, I was like, for that amount of money, I think I can just kick myself in the butt and remind myself why I'm doing this. So I'm not going to do that yet. Hiring a coach is not off the table, and that's something that I may do if I continue to have a lot of struggles with the sort of bulking mentality. So let me know in the comments if you have ever done a season of trying to add muscle, add lean mass, and let me know if you had struggles with what's out there on social media. Everybody, it seems like, is trying to lose weight. And if you're trying to do the opposite, it can be a little tough. So let me know if you've struggled, what things were helpful for you in those cases, to try to get you through that and get you over that sort of mental hurdle. If you have any questions about my bulking journey, please let me know. Drop them in the comments. I would love to continue this conversation in the comments. And I hope you found this helpful or interesting. Remember, we all have these sort of mental struggles, and this applies to not just changing your body, but all kinds of things. And remember, don't compare yourself to people who aren't like you. I need to remind myself not to compare myself to 20-year-old somethings whose only job is to be a fitness influencer. So they have all the time in the world, and they're not a 49, almost 50-year-old woman with a full-time stressful job and responsibilities at home. If you found this helpful or interesting, please go ahead and give it a like, comment, subscribe to my channel. I really, really want to try to grow my channel in 2026, so subscribing helps with that. And as always, I appreciate everyone watching, and I will see you next week with another video.